Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. And we're here today with special guest, CPA and TurboTax Expert, Lisa Greene-Lewis, who's here to share with us maximizing your tax refund. So did you know there's still last-minute steps you can take to boost your tax refund? Well, today's guest is here to share with us just that. So Lisa Greene-Lewis has over 20 years of experience in tax preparation and breaking down tax laws. Her success is attributed to being able to interpret tax laws, help tax filers better understand them, and save money. Lisa also has a well-rounded professional background, and she has held positions as a public auditor, controller, and operations manager. She has contributed tax articles to local, national, and online publications, including U.S. News and World Report and the Huffington Post, and has appeared on news broadcasts, including The Steve Harvey Show. So let's welcome to the show, Lisa Greene-Lewis.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's such an honor to have you here. Why don't we start with the first question I think is on everyone's mind. What can we do to really maximize our tax refunds?
Yes, first I would start by gathering all your documents in one place. So you want to gather your documents that report income like W-2s and 1099s, but especially you want to gather those forms and receipts that show expenses that can be worth deductions. And then second, you can make a 2024 IRA contribution up to $7,000 and $8,000 if you're 50 and over. And you can do that by the April 15th tax deadline, and you may be able to deduct that contribution.
Oh my goodness, that's a great tip. Now, what were you saying that the deadline was?
The deadline is April 15th for the majority of tax filers.
So it's really coming up. It's something we
Yes.
have to pay attention to. So have there been recent changes and adjustments that we should be aware of before we even start filing?
They're not substantial tax law changes for tax year 2024, but there's some I want to highlight that can really help people's tax outcomes. So the first one is inflation adjustments, and one of them is the standard deduction, and that has been increased to $14,600 if you're single, and $29,200 married filing jointly. And then the second one is the earned income tax credit. This is a substantial credit for a family with 3 kids. It's up to $7,830. And the IRS states that about 1 out of 5 people miss this credit. And then the next, it's not really a change, but a reporting requirement that has come about. So if you are self-employed or work a side gig and you have payments processed through a third-party provider like Venmo or PayPal, you will get a Form 1099-K if you've had payments processed at $5,000. The previous threshold amount was much more. It was 200 transactions and $20,000.
Well, that's definitely something to be aware of because so many people do have side gigs going on.
Yes.
Now, I know TurboTax is one of the largest financial technology platforms worldwide. So how are they helping people file their taxes this tax season?
TurboTax is providing done-for-you filing experiences, and we have some free offers I want to share. So we have the TurboTax mobile app offer. So if you did not file with TurboTax last year, you can file your taxes yourself on our mobile app. And you can file your federal and state taxes absolutely free, regardless of your complexity. So you could be, whether you're self-employed or an investor, you can file for free, and that's up until February 18th. And then we continue to provide our TurboTax Free Edition, and that is for simple 1040 forms only, but you can have some credits for kids like earned income tax credit. You can have the child tax credit and student loan interest, and about 37% of filers qualify for that offer. And then we also have, if you don't want to do your taxes at all, you can hand them over to our TurboTax Live full service experts.
I think so many people want to do that and not think about it, right?
Yes.
So, what are some of the common mistakes that we make when we're filing our tax returns?
The first one is just procrastination. People who wait until the last minute, they tend to leave things out that can impact their tax return. Second, gathering the incorrect Social Security numbers for your kids. Kids are worth valuable tax deductions and credits, but you need the accurate Social Security number in order to claim those. And then third, not filing at all. Some people make under the IRS income threshold, but if you've had federal taxes taken out and you're eligible for some of the credits I've talked about, you're leaving money on the table.
Well, that's definitely good to know and things to watch out for. So, what if someone
Yes.
needs to file an extension? How do they go about doing that?
You can file an extension by the April 15th deadline using Form 4868. But just remember that that is an extension to file and not an extension to pay if you owe money.
Okay, good things to know. Now, many people work multiple jobs and side hustles, like we were talking about earlier. So, how does this impact their taxes and what should they watch out for?
Yeah, so if you work multiple jobs or if you have a side hustle, you would still file with your regular personal return as well. One thing I would remember is deduct expenses that are directly related to your business. So, if you traveled, if you have car expenses, supplies, computer equipment, or a home office, definitely feel empowered to deduct those expenses so that you reduce the taxes you owe.
So, for those Americans who are working remotely, and there are so many people that are doing that, are there any tax benefits or deductions that they should be aware of?
So if you have an employer, you are not able to deduct any of your expenses from working from home. Those went away under tax reform. But if you're self-employed, uh, definitely, deduct like your expenses for your home office. You can deduct a portion of your home expenses like rent, mortgage interest, or property taxes.
There's a lot to consider there. And that's probably why having somebody like a TurboTax expert to help file taxes is probably a way for people to go if they're just unsure.
Yes, if you have questions and don't want to deal with it, you can hand your taxes over. Don't need to get a babysitter. Don't need to drive anywhere. Um, our TurboTax Live experts can take care of it for you, and we're just here to help you maximize your deductions and save money on your taxes.
To really kind of uncover those hidden gems that people might not know about.
Yes.
So, some taxpayers may owe money instead of getting a refund. And it's just how the world is. What steps can they take to really kind of offset that or help to reduce it if that's possible?
Yeah, so earlier in our conversation, I talked about that as one move you can make, and that may be incentive to do your taxes so you can see where you stand now before the deadline. If you find that you owe, you may be able to make a contribution to your IRA, and that is one of the only moves you can make now to make an impact on your taxes for 2024. And then I would say, if you owe and you get to the tax deadline and you can't pay what you owe, the IRS will work with you and they will do an installment agreement, and it allows you to pay what you owe over 6 years.
So, for those who received maybe the student loan forgiveness or paid into student loans last year, how would that affect their tax returns?
Yes, so you can claim the student loan interest deduction up to $2,500. So you definitely want to remember that. And if you have any other expenses for college education, there's the American Opportunity Tax Credit up to $2,500 if you're working on a 4-year degree. Or even if you took one college class, there's a lifetime learning credit up to $2,000.
So, are there any common tax misconceptions that people believe in that they probably should take another look at?
Yeah, there are some. We actually conducted a survey, and Gen Z 20% of them believe that students don't need to file taxes. And, you can't get a refund if you don't make the IRS requirement for income. But while students don't need to file, like I mentioned earlier, if you had taxes taken out, even if you make under the income threshold, you should file because you may get a refund. The IRS reports over $1 billion in unclaimed refunds every year, and a lot of that belongs to people who don't file because they make under the IRS threshold.
Well, Lisa, where can people go to file their taxes and for more information on what we talked about today?
You can go to TurboTax.com.
Well, Lisa, thank you for taking the time to be on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.